us started with talking about mind versus brain, differentiating the mind from the brain, and then you talk about disciplining the mind.
So your brain, the physical functioning of your brain, moment by moment controls and creates your mind. And all you have to do is look at someone who has Alzheimer's disease. Their brain is deteriorating and clearly their mind is not what they might want. And so if you want to corral, control, enhance, optimize your mind, you first have to start with the physical functioning of your brain. Well, every time your brain makes a decision, it lays down a little bit of myelin in the brain, and it helps the brain work better, more efficiently. Whenever you make a bad decision, you're just more likely to make that bad decision again. There's a great quote I like from Roy Baumeister, psychologist who studies willpower. And he says, the best way to reduce stress in your life is to stop screwing up. Because every time we screw up, we're just more likely to make a bad decision again. I teach all of my patients the acronym HALT, which means don't get too hungry, because low blood sugar is associated with bad decisions. Don't get too angry. Negative thinking decreases the function in your brain, more likely to make bad decisions. Lonely, isolation increases the risk of addiction and depression. And tired, if you don't sleep 6.5, 7, 8 hours a night, you have lower overall blood flow to your brain, more bad decisions.
That is so good. I taught my kids that all along. And some of my patients put an S after it and make it HALTS. And the S stands for stress, which is actually a good segue to how stress shrinks the brain. We know there's good stress called eustress, but even too much of that can be a problem. And then there's bad stress. But how does stress shrink the brain?
Well, whenever the brain is bathed with cortisol, cortisol is sort of known as the stress hormone. A little bit is absolutely essential. But if you have too much, you can't sleep. It actually kills cells in the hippocampus, one of the major memory centers of the brain. Stress puts fat on your belly, shrinks your frontal lobes. And there's a really interesting book called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. You know, I mean, you would think zebras are chronically stressed because they're lunch for the lions. But zebra bodies know, after they go through a stress, how to calm themselves down. And so if you want to be better than a zebra, learning how to switch off stress is really important. I work with a lot of police people, and, you know, they're under chronic stress. So we actually have shake-off routines when they go home. We have routines to calm their nervous system so they don't have to give the stress away to their children or spouses.
Wow, that's so powerful. And the police force, air traffic controllers, pilots, attorneys, teachers, medical professionals, all under undue amounts of stress, even, you name it, parents. And so when we discuss vocations, and parenting is a vocation too, it's a calling. What are top 3 priorities you would give to those that are in stressful vocations and how to balance life?
So the first one always is to love your brain, because your brain makes every decision. Brain's involved in innovation and creativity and steadiness. And so really working to optimize the physical functioning of the brain. And then 2 is you have to tell your brain what you want. So clarity is so important. Whenever I put on the top of sort of my top 10 list is you have to tell your brain what you want: relationships, work, money, physical, emotional, spiritual health. And then little tiny habits every day. Does it fit? If I'm going to say this to my spouse, well, does it fit the goals I have? If I'm going to eat this, do I love it? And does it love me back? Because you're in a relationship with food. If I'm going to medicate my sadness with alcohol, I'm like, well, does that fit any of the goals you have to decrease myelin and poison your brain? And we're in a society now that says alcohol is a health food, marijuana is innocuous, maybe I should try mushrooms. And all of that is just stupidity, because they're all toxic to brain function. And there's so many other sort of cooler, faster ways to feel better fast that will in fact last.